Have you ever felt like you're just going through the motions, unsure of what you're really meant to do? Ethan was in that exact place, searching for meaning in a world that seemed to have no answers. Ethan sat on the edge of his bed, staring out the window, watching the world go by. The noise of the city below felt distant, as though he were in a bubble that separated him from everyone and everything. His mind was a whirlwind of questions, none of them with clear answers. The weight of uncertainty pressed down on him, and for the first time in his life he felt truly lost. "Dad, I don't know what to do anymore," Ethan said quietly, his voice heavy with frustration. His father, sensing the seriousness, set his newspaper down and gave him his full attention. "What's on your mind?" he asked, leaning forward. Ethan sighed, running a hand through his hair. "I feel like I'm just going through the motions. I wake up, go to work, talk to people, but none of it feels meaningful. I don't know why I'm doing any of it." His words hung in the air, full of confusion. His father studied him for a moment, understanding the weight of what Ethan was saying. Ethan had always been a dreamer, full of potential, yet recently he seemed disconnected from everything. His father had been there before, wrestling with similar feelings when he was younger, but the answers had never been simple. After a long silence, his father stood up and sat next to him on the bed. "Ethan, I know what you're feeling," he said gently. "I've been there myself. Sometimes the answers to these questions don't come from the world around you. They come from within." Ethan looked at him skeptical. "What do you mean?" His father smiled knowingly. "You're searching for meaning outside yourself, in the people you meet, the work you do, the places you go. But the truth is you won't find real purpose until you start looking inward." Ethan frowned. "But if I don't know what I want, how can I look inside for the answers?" His father placed a hand on his shoulder. "It's not about knowing right away. It's about being open to the idea that the answers are already inside you. You need to quiet the noise of the world for a while and focus on what matters to you. The world will always tell you what you should do, but only you can decide what speaks to your soul." Ethan took a deep breath, the weight of his father's words sinking in. The idea of looking inward felt both freeing and terrifying. He had always relied on external validation, on clear paths laid out for him. But the thought of charting his own course was daunting. "I don't know if I'm ready for that," Ethan admitted. His father smiled gently. "You don't have to be ready. You just need to take the first step. Life is uncertain, but the only way to find your way is to trust yourself and start walking." Ethan stared out the window, but this time, his gaze wasn't filled with frustration. There was a flicker of something new, a glimmer of hope or curiosity. For the first time in a long while, he felt a stir of possibility. He wasn't sure where it would lead, but he was ready to listen to the quiet voice inside, drowned out by the noise of the world. It would take time, but with his father's advice, Ethan understood that the journey mattered as much as the destination. The answers, he realized, might be closer than he imagined. Ethan set out early the next morning, the sun casting a golden glow across the land. His father's words echoed in his mind. "What do you truly want from life?" The question felt simple yet difficult to answer. He had spent years seeking direction from others, never truly asking himself what he wanted. Now, with the quiet of the forest around him, Ethan realized he had never really asked that question. As he walked deeper into the woods, the towering trees and rustling leaves seemed to welcome him. The path was peaceful and he sat by a small stream, closing his eyes to gather his thoughts. For the first time in a long time, there were no distractions. Just him, nature, and the question that loomed in his mind. What did he truly want from life? Ethan sighed and opened his eyes. He realized how little he had asked himself what mattered most. He had always been busy meeting expectations, but the idea of choosing what he truly wanted felt monumental. His mind wandered to his childhood dreams of being an artist, painting beautiful landscapes. But that dream had faded as he focused on stability, a secure job, and financial security. He also thought about his relationships, friends, family, and wondered if he had ever considered what he truly wanted from them. Ethan's thoughts drifted again. Could he find his own answers without someone else's direction? After a long silence, Ethan took a deep breath and asked himself, "What do I truly want from life?" The answer didn't come immediately, but something inside him shifted. The uncertainty began to fade, replaced by a quiet awareness. He realized that his purpose wasn't something to chase externally or receive from others. It wasn't about achieving status or meeting societal expectations. It was about living authentically, in alignment with his true self. He thought about what made him feel most alive. Volunteering at the local shelter, helping those in need, always gave him a sense of fulfillment. Those moments felt right. Helping others using his gifts connected him to something greater than himself. But those moments had been rare, buried beneath distractions, worry, and self-doubt. Ethan's heart recognized that his true calling wasn't about chasing what society told him to do, but about listening to his inner voice, helping others, and using his talents for the greater good. Standing up from the rock, the path ahead felt clearer. Ethan realized that life wasn't going to hand him a map or neatly packaged answers. The answers were within him. He didn't need permission from others. Life was about listening to his heart, trusting his instincts, and allowing himself to dream again. As he walked, Ethan felt at peace with the uncertainty. He didn't have all the answers, but he understood they would come in time as long as he looked inward, trusted his journey, and took the next step, no matter how small. He smiled softly to himself. The search for meaning hadn't ended, but now he knew where to look. For the first time in a long time, he felt like he was moving in the right direction. Ethan's journey began with quiet hope, the belief that there was more to life than simply surviving it. But as days passed, that hope faded into frustration. Despite his efforts to answer his father's question, "What do you truly want from life?" Doubts clouded his thoughts, and the answers seemed elusive. He tried to reconnect with things that had once brought him joy, helping others, painting, spending time in nature, but nothing felt as meaningful as before. His mind wandered, searching for something it couldn't find. Ethan expected a profound epiphany, a moment when everything would make sense, but instead, the more he searched, the more lost he felt. Paralyzed by indecision, Ethan questioned if he was on the right path. Perhaps he had misunderstood his father's question. Maybe he wasn't meant to find a grand purpose after all. The pressure of these doubts weighed on him, and he wondered if he was wasting his time. One evening, after a long day of trying to sort through his thoughts, Ethan returned home feeling drained and frustrated. His father noticed the change in him right away. "Son, what's bothering you?" his father asked. "I don't know, Dad," Ethan replied, his voice heavy with doubt. "I'm trying, but it doesn't feel like I'm getting anywhere. I still don't know what I'm supposed to do. It's like I'm chasing something that doesn't even exist. Maybe I was wrong to think I could figure this out on my own." His father, understanding, responded, "The road to finding your purpose isn't straight, and it's rarely easy. You're going to face moments of doubt and confusion, but that doesn't mean you're failing. Just because you can't see the end doesn't mean you're not moving forward." Ethan absorbed his father's words, realizing his journey would take time and would be filled with setbacks. But his father was right. These struggles weren't obstacles, they were part of the process. Over the following weeks, Ethan embraced the confusion instead of fighting it. He stopped demanding immediate answers, understanding that the process of discovery was just as important as the answers themselves. He reflected on his past, his childhood, the people who shaped him, and the moments when he felt most alive. These reflections helped him see that his purpose wasn't something to rush into. It was something he would grow into over time. Although doubts still lingered, Ethan learned to push through them. He accepted that purpose wasn't something found in a single moment of clarity, but something that unfolded through action, introspection, and time. As he continued on his journey, Ethan shifted. He stopped fearing the struggle and began to embrace it. Understanding that each challenge meant he was growing, he learned to trust the process, knowing each uncertain moment brought him closer to the person he was meant to become. The journey wasn't about finding the perfect answer. It was about navigating life's complexities and trusting that the answers would eventually reveal themselves. Ethan sat quietly by the stream. His feet dipped in the cool water as the sound of the current filled his ears. For the first time in weeks, he felt a deep sense of calm. He had spent hours walking the forest paths, still wrestling with the question, what do I truly want from life? Though the doubts that had clouded his mind were beginning to fade, the answer remained elusive. He had longed for a moment of clarity, a sign that would give him his purpose. But sitting there, Ethan realized that purpose might not come in an instant or a dramatic revelation. His mind drifted back to moments of fulfillment, times he had volunteered at a local shelter, helping those in need. He had felt alive in those moments not because he was doing something grand, but because he was solving problems and making a real difference in others' lives. He remembered helping friends and family through tough times, offering support or simply listening. These were the moments when he felt truly connected, when he used his talents to serve others. It dawned on him that his purpose wasn't going to arrive all at once. Instead, it was about living a life of service, using his gifts to make a difference. Purpose wasn't a destination, but the journey itself. It wasn't about one grand moment, but about consistent action, making a difference in small, everyday ways. The stream before him flowed endlessly, always moving forward, and Ethan realized his purpose was like that. A continual flow, shaped by his actions, values, and contributions to the world around him. Ethan felt a wave of peace. He had been chasing an ideal of purpose that was too rigid and defined by external expectations. But now he understood that his purpose had always been within him, waiting to be recognized. He didn't need to force it or wait for inspiration. It was in the simple acts of kindness and in using his strengths to help others. With newfound clarity, Ethan felt a sense of direction he hadn't had before. He no longer felt lost. His path was clearer, though he knew the journey would still hold challenges. He was ready to embrace his gifts, empathy, problem-solving, and the desire to help, and use them to create a meaningful life for himself and those around him. As he walked back through the forest, Ethan felt lighter, as if the weight of the world had been lifted. He no longer needed to search for answers. He had found them. A deep sense of purpose took root within him, and he knew his journey was only beginning. The path ahead was uncertain, but for the first time he felt truly ready to walk it. Ethan returned home, the clarity and peace he'd found in the forest settling within him. His path back to his father's house felt different, as if each step aligned with a deeper understanding of himself. The uncertainty about his purpose had been replaced by a quiet confidence. Though the full journey was yet to unfold, he knew where he was heading. When he walked through the door, his father was sitting at the table reading a book. Upon seeing Ethan, his father's eyes showed a profound pride. Pride not just in his son's accomplishments, but in seeing him begin to embrace his own path. "You look different," his father said, setting the book aside and standing to greet him. "You've found something, haven't you?" Ethan smiled, gratitude rising within him. "I think I have, Dad. I've been searching for it for so long, but now I see it was with me all along." His father nodded. "The path to purpose isn't straight. It's full of detours and obstacles. What matters is that you found what feels right for you. It's not about a single moment of clarity, but about living a life aligned with who you are, your heart, and your talents." Ethan nodded, understanding now. He had spent too much time looking for answers outside himself, waiting for a sign, but his journey was less about finding one destination, and more about aligning his actions with what truly mattered. It was about serving others, using his strengths to make a difference, and following a path that felt true even if its end wasn't clear. "I've been thinking a lot," Ethan said, his voice steady with newfound purpose. "I don't have all the answers, but helping others makes me feel alive. I want to do something that matters, something in line with my values. It's not about success or recognition, but using my strengths to serve." His father smiled warmly, placing a hand on his shoulder. "I'm proud of you, Ethan. You've found your direction. It's not about the destination, but the pursuit of what feels right in your heart. Decisions guided by passion, service, and authenticity." Ethan took a deep breath, feeling lighter. He now understood that true fulfillment didn't come from external validation or chasing an ideal. It came from living authentically, guided by purpose, not external markers. The path ahead wouldn't always be easy. There would be doubts and moments of confusion, but these weren't signs of failure. They were part of the process. Ethan had learned that purpose was not a destination but a way of living, showing up every day, staying true to his values, and embracing challenges as growth opportunities. His worth wasn't determined by others or external circumstances, but by his choices in each moment. As he looked at his father, Ethan felt deep gratitude. His father had been right. The path to purpose wasn't always clear, but it was worth walking no matter how uncertain. Ethan was ready to step forward with confidence, knowing he had finally found what would guide him, his own sense of purpose rooted in service, passion, and authenticity. It was just the beginning, but for the first time, Ethan was ready to embrace whatever came next.